Hello there, and welcome to the Rogue Podcast, a Star Wars show. As of right now, you just have myself and CJ Jones. David and John should be joining shortly. But right now, you just got the two of us, so hopefully we're enough. But we are going to be diving into Season 3 of The Mandalorian Episode 1. I was very excited about it, very pumped. We haven't seen these characters since the Book of Boba Fett, which if you didn't watch the Book of Boba Fett, you may have been a little confused as to why the little green guy was back with Mando, which they kind of briefly touch on. But we're going to dive into that. And we may talk a little bit of Bad Batch as well. I don't know if that was fully our intention or not. But I think our conversation is probably going to lead there. Overall, though, it was great to have Mando back at it again. And overall, I enjoyed the episode. But it wasn't anything that threw me off my chair. What about for you, CJ?
No, I thought it was pretty. It wasn't disappointing, but it wasn't anything more than okay.
Yeah, it was just it was what it was. I felt like it was some wasted time, in my personal opinion. I was hoping for a little more, which I mean, after 2 years of not having an episode, you hope for high expectations. But I think in the world of media, we're just a little bit spoiled that I don't know if it's spoiled or just expecting good content. Because, honestly, you're watching Last of Us, CJ? Or no?
No.
Oh, every episode's a banger. It's great. You know what I mean? And it's only got 9 or 10 episodes, I believe. But they spend that time to make each episode high quality. And right now, with some of the Star Wars stuff, it just doesn't always feel that way. You know, especially with Bad Batch. And my personal opinion with Mando is that if you're going to only have an 8-episode season, you know, this show needs to hit. You know what I mean? You don't have time for stuff that you're just getting through an episode and you're like, yeah, nothing really happened, you know?
Yeah. I mean, you think of the last 2 times that they started something with Mando, that one episode in the Book of Boba where he goes into the den and he deals with all of that on his bounty.
Mm-hmm.
Then he has to turn with the Darksaber. There's things relevant to the story that are happening that are exciting. And on the other one, he goes to, I think it's the one where he goes to Tatooine with the Marshal to take on the
Krayt
Dragon. But it also starts with him going into some underground ring and kind of doing a bounty. And
the Krayt Dragon was actually the pilot of season 2.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, yes.
Last season, and
you're saying the last couple intros we've had.
The start of him.
Yes, I get what you're saying.
Of him, yes. Whereas this one is more flat.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, you think about the season 1 intro where we first met the character, and it's of course a very different tone when you're just meeting a character. You have a lot of things to set up, but even that, you got to see him walk in and just be a bad dude right at the very beginning. So he arrests that guy and fights the people in the bar in season 1. And then season 2, you have the whole thing with the Tuskens and the Krayt Dragon, Cobb Vanth. Great episode. One of the best episodes of the show, probably. Just absolutely epic, just the way he fought in that episode. And then what we saw in the Book of Boba Fett, was he in 2 episodes? I believe 2 episodes.
Yeah, yes. 3.
2 or 3. He had his 2 by himself and then the one he was in the finale, correct? Those 3 episodes were all amazing. So now we get to a year removed from that show, the Book of Boba Fett, and this show pretty much just talked about things we already knew. When you look at the whole scope of this show, you talk about how he's an apostate and needs to become a Mando again, right? And he has to learn all over again what it means, or not learn all over again. He has to justify his sins, atone for his sins, which we already knew.
Yeah.
We knew that from season 2 of Mando, and it was reiterated in the Book of Boba Fett when he went and talked to the armorer and talked about the Darksaber and stuff. She said, yep, if you want to do this, you got to go clean yourself in the baths or the waters of the mines below Mandalore. Okay? So they talk about that again. And really, I kind of want to wait till John and David get here because I know we'll talk about it again, but it's okay. They can hash it out again. It's fine. But that whole scene where he goes to this planet. Good, John, you're here just in time.
Yep.
Dead.
You have a good time with your customer? Or client, I should say.
It's all right. I can't really talk about it.
That's fine, yeah. Client attorney privileges, or whatever it's called. client accountant privileges.
Confidentiality.
We were just talking about how this episode almost seemed pointless in a way. Unless you are like brand new to the show. Because it really just kept hitting on notes and tones that have already been addressed, and then none of those tones or story points were actually expanded on, really, with the rare exception of a few things. But for the most part, the one we just started diving into is Din going to the planet where the Mandalorians are restarting their covert, and he goes there to say, like, I just wanted to double check. If I go to this planet and bathe in the waters, the waters underneath the mines of Mandalore, I will be a Mandalorian again. And she's pretty much like, yeah, that's what I said. He's like, okay, I just wanted to double check, you know. And he says,
or kind of like double checking. So am I actually like, do you actually kick me out?
Yeah.
Or were you just kind of kidding? Were you kidding? Like you were kidding, right?
And he shows like a crystallized gem of some kind that's evidence that Mandalore is there. But I don't feel like he needed to go back and talk to the armorer again and be like, yeah, I just wanted to confirm. You know what I mean? That was really, I mean, it's just kind of, I don't like when things are done just so the audience can catch up that doesn't actually make sense for the story. Because that was done for people that don't remember or that did not watch the Book of Boba Fett or just have forgotten. Which, in my opinion, I would much rather have a previously on The Mandalorian. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which they did.
Yeah.
Just shove that in there so we don't have to see this whole episode about it. Other things like that happened.
Also, I think people might be confused.
I changed it, did I not?
Maybe it just hasn't updated online.
Wait. Let me see. Okay, you guys go ahead and keep talking about some of the other things that were done that didn't really need to be.
I mean,
I was
I guess
kind of confused as to why they were even on that planet to begin with. But I don't know, that armor lady just seems to bounce around a lot. They were in like a space station before, and she was on her own, like their old world where we first got introduced to them. I don't know, like
she was on Florida. She was in
does
Florida.
she just travel around?
Fighting some gators. Yeah, I mean, it kind of looks like that's their new home for now, because she had her whole setup there, and
I guess.
Yeah. I think and it's kind of clear that the whole point of that was just to kind of get us back into the Mandalorian vibe of like, here's a new kid that for the first time is getting his helmet and he's never allowed to take it off and cut his hair ever. But I need to stop nitpicking.
No, I mean there definitely was things to nitpick. I mean,
well, no, I'm just nitpicking. Like, so how do you ever cut your hair?
well, you can just cut it. You're allowed to take it off. You just can't take it off in front of people.
Is that the rule?
Yeah,
Okay.
Din took it off to eat. He just gonna let people see him eating.
Even though he was right there in front.
I know.
Yeah,
Don't turn
That
around!
would not last long if they could never take it off.
That's nitpicking. Yeah.
Oh wait,
I don't know. I thought it was a flashback at first.
I did too. I thought that was actually Din. Yeah, I felt the same way.
Yeah, I agree.
I was saying to Rachel, I was like, I think that's Din.
It's too white though.
Yeah, he was a little white. Okay, I gotta figure out why this. Anyways, videos. Yeah, it's still showing that. Okay, so I got this. Yeah, it's still showing that. Okay, that's annoying.
But how about the alligator thing? I mean, it looked really good. That whole sequence looked really, really good.
Oh yeah, I think it was probably the best looking episode that we've had. You know what I mean? It has actually looked really good. So I'm cool with that. It's just been a little frustrating. You know, that it's not just looks, but it looked great. I mean, I thought that at first maybe it was like a mythosaur when its mouth first started coming up. I was like, oh no, it's not. But yeah, it was cool. I mean, the fighting didn't really make a whole lot of sense. Rachel was like, why don't they just like fly away?
Run away.
Or like, go walk away or fly away or go back into the cave and stuff. But
Because we needed a big entrance.
yeah, I was like, well, they're Mandalorians. They don't shy from a fight. But
Yeah.
it definitely was
true.
odd. I was
It
like,
was just so random.
yeah.
Like, it just popped out of the water
Hmm.
for seemingly no reason other than to give us like an action scene.
Yeah. And then just so he could like look a certain way. And I was just like, what?
It worked.
Yeah,
It worked.
It did, but so I mean, it was cool. He flew in, looked cool when he flew in, stuff like that. But outside of that, I was unimpressed by the intro. Just the story behind it is what I guess unimpressed me. Or I was
How about the
unimpressed by
guts flying, though? I didn't really expect that.
it. Why is that?
Like, I didn't expect Disney to just have alligator guts flying across the screen and strewn over. I just figured it would kind of get cauterized like it normally does.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
That was kind of funny.
Oh, interesting. So one of our viewers says he thought you could tell it was Paz Vizsla's kid based on the helmet coloring. So do you think maybe, because we do know that families color their helmets together, and he did seem pretty attached to that kid or proud of him.
He just like kicked him out. Didn't he like kick him out of the way?
He moved him out of the way, and I saw Theory talk about. He said it almost looked like this kid that Paz was like proud of him. You know what I mean? But yeah,
The kid was what?
that he was proud of the kid. That Paz Vizsla was proud of him.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
I suppose that would make sense. I didn't even think about that. So where do we go from there? So he talks. Oh, he flies next to
Navarro.
and this was another thing I thought was dumb, and I don't know. Rachel said right away, right after he leaves the armor, and says, "I hope that that's not like the whole plot of this season is him just
Going to Mandalore.
going to Mandalore. Like, is that gonna be the whole plot?" I was like, "Oh, I really hope not." I said, "I really hope it's just one episode. Like, that's this whole episode. He goes there."
Well, wasn't it before when he was hyperspace traveling to Navarro? Is that when the scene happened?
Yes. I mean, sure.
That
The
was-
scene. I mean, I thought it was semi-cool. It wasn't like amazing, but it was cool
You didn't.
enough.
You didn't get chills for the Purgils?
No, not at all. I was
I
like,
got chills.
I was like, oh, cool.
I got chills, dude.
I was like, oh, cool, Purgil. But like,
Yeah, I was like, I know what those are.
yeah,
I got chills for the Purgils. Not even gonna
get-
lie.
you get chills for
don't
interesting
know.
things. I mean, I thought it was
Yeah.
cool because you knew that it meant they were connecting.
Yeah.
They're foreshadowing what Ahsoka is going to be talking about,
And
you
it's
know,
like
it pretty much confirms that you were going to be seeing Ezra Bridger later on.
people that know.
Yeah,
People that know.
yeah.
And everyone else probably didn't even see the shadow. They're probably like, oh, it's like a weird
It
cloud.
would have been more cool if we didn't know that Ahsoka was going to be going after Ezra. Like, we already know that. I mean, it hasn't been 100% confirmed, but just based on... us
Well, we
being
knew that
pissed-
from Rebels.
Well, yeah. But if this was like out of nowhere, say we didn't know there was an Ahsoka show coming,
Yeah.
we would have been like, you know what I mean? But in my case, I was like, that makes sense.
And then Yoda or Grogu is like connected.
So Rachel did say this. She
Sense 'em.
said, it would suck if this whole show, or a large portion of the show, is just about him going to the planet to redeem himself, and he takes all these side quests on the way. And I was like, there's no way.
It
there's
already
gonna be a
feels
lot-
like it already
It
feels like that
Does
with
it not?
Babu Frick. He's like, you gotta get this part, and then we can fix it. Then we can fix it. Why do you need IG-88? You don't need IG-88.
As soon as I saw
That
them,
was weird.
as soon as I saw them flying to Navarro, I was like, oh, really? We're gonna go to Navarro first? I was like, all right, well, maybe he'll go talk to Grief Karga or whatever, because we saw those scenes in the trailers, and then he'll go on and move on to Mandalore. He's like, hey, I need to rebuild IG-88. And I'm guessing it's because IG-88 doesn't need to breathe and poison's not going to affect him, right? So you can go onto the planet's surface and scope things out without Mando having to be there. I suppose that makes sense. But then they're like, try to fix it up. And they're just sitting around talking for like a long period of time. And I'm like, not what I'm wanting to see right now, really. I know Mando's not going to settle down in Navarro. This is a pointless conversation. The show's not going to end with him just getting a farm out on the edge of Navarro. It's not how it's going to go. So I was like, this is useless to me. I don't really care about the wealth and prosperity of Navarro. And then they're like, no, IG-11 actually needs a new memory processor. So you can't actually go to Mandalore now because you got to go find this memory processor. I'm like, well, hopefully he does that this episode and we go to Mandalore next episode. And then, no, he doesn't go to Mandalore. He fights some pirates and stuff. He finds out that Cara Dune has joined the Special Forces.
How'd you all feel about that? Just indifferent?
I
I kind of felt indifferent.
I think it's better than saying she died because it leaves the door
Yes.
open for her maybe to return someday. She was never like my favorite character by any stretch of the imagination. I know a lot of people are like really mad about it that she was gone.
Yeah.
I'm mad about the way that she was kicked off the show. I think it's stupid. But
Yeah.
like if her character died on screen, I wouldn't have been like crying my eyes out or something. You know what I mean? I'd be like, oh
Nope.
yeah, that makes sense.
Pick up the pitchforks.
Someone finally died in Star Wars, so in
Yeah.
Disney Star Wars, I should say. But
That wasn't a legacy character, you mean?
yeah. So then he escapes the pirates and he's flying off somewhere. And he says he's going to Mandalorian planet. I'm
Well,
like,
let's
oh,
talk about the
sweet.
pirates first.
Well, we
You
will.
can't
I just
skip
want
over
to talk about one other thing that bugged me, and then we'll get
Okay.
back to that. And I'm like, oh, sweet. Okay, maybe he's going to fly to Mandalore to end this episode off. And I'll be really excited to have that actually happen next episode. So I'm confident that the whole show isn't going to be about this. But no, he's stopping to talk to Bo-Katan, who's just apparently sitting on a throne by herself for no frickin' reason. Just she sits there hours on end. Walks up
Chilling.
to her in the middle of an island, in the middle of an ocean, in the middle of
Chilling like a
wasteland,
villain.
and just says, I want to join you. Which makes no sense. Out of nowhere, why does he want to join her? And it's not like he went there to like ask her if she had a memory core or something. So we know that all of episode 2 is just going to be him freaking getting a memory core. And then he'll go back and get IG-11, and there'll be some fight there in episode 3. And then by episode 4, maybe he'll finally start to head to Mandalore. So I'm starting to get a little frustrated seeing where this season's going. And if it doesn't pick up the pace and like get some heavy hitting stuff, I'll be upset. So that's my fist pounding. So we can talk about the cool stuff that happened. There was some cool stuff in there. So you guys talk. My voice is getting dry.
Yeah, no, and I do agree. Like, we got to start writing some meaningful stories and not just like backfilling half the stories with
Yeah.
side quests.
It's like John sits down. He says he writes these seasons. Like he's writing season 4 right now. I'd be like, John, write a season that you don't have to like say, well, I got enough for 3 episodes. Anyone want to know what else we can do for the other 5? Because like the episodes that hit so hard, you know, they're great.
Yep.
But then it's just you fill in these side quest things, and it's like you can still make it a Star Wars Western without having these things happen that just don't matter. Especially when your episodes are only 35 minutes. Like if you only have 35
That-
minutes,
Yeah, that's the.
you gotta
That can't be a
cash
thing
in.
going. That's. I kind of feel like this was like I told you, Jake. It was the group chat. This was a prologue that they tacked onto the beginning. They probably knew from the outset, or maybe even they added it after they had to delay this season due to Book of Boba Fett or whatever happened behind the scenes. It
Yeah.
kind of felt like they added this
It felt like a weird first episode. For
to.
sure.
It felt like a really expensive episode to just add on if that's what happened, but because I mean it looked great, all the visuals were great except Wish Davy Jones, and
This is weird.
It was. I was like, why are we
Moss
doing
face.
like literally Pirates of the Outer Rim? Like,
And
we went
without-
a little too far on the pirate part.
yeah. Like,
without Hondo,
if you're gonna
they're
have pirates,
they're
you may
teasing
as
Hondo.
well throw Hondo in. You may as well.
no,
He's gonna be
Yeah.
like 90 years old, but that's fine.
they're doing Davy Jones, and then they're gonna have Johnny
Hondo
Depp
be.
as Hondo.
Oh no.
I wouldn't like that just because it would just pull me right out of
Oh,
it.
absolutely.
In this show, maybe
Yes.
in a Hondo pirate show.
Yeah. I mean the combat with the N1 starfighter, the Naboo starfighter, it was really cool. Like the way he maneuvered, that was top notch.
Pretty cool.
Mhm.
I loved watching it. It
The
would have been
visuals in hyperspace with the flying creature Ezra
Virgo.
saw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Virgils.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit. So yeah, that was pretty cool, and I know that we're gonna definitely see some more of that. I mean, I did enjoy the combat. He was amazing, just wiping out the pirates like nothing.
He was
And-
stealth flying.
I thought it was cool, kind of how he's training Grogu now. Like he's not just carrying this kid around like he has been for 2 years, thinking that he has that end path of this is not a long-term thing. Like I'm just getting this kid from point A to point B. Like he's actually raising him now. You know what I mean? And giving him life advice and saying this is what this control pattern or control panel does. This is what this one does. It's not just about fighting. You have to be able to navigate the galaxy. Don't trust pirates. His relationship with Grogu has changed. I thought that was cool.
So with his decision made in Book of Boba Fett, did any of you have concern that it didn't seem like they touched that at all? So if you go from watching season 2 of The Mandalorian and you go right into season 3, I don't even think they had a previously on.
They did.
No.
And they didn't show
Yes, there
him
was.
choosing between Luke.
Oh no, it was not on there.
Yeah. So it's like
Yeah.
that
he's
that
just
was
back.
disappointing to me. I now that I'm actually thinking about it, obviously we all knew, all the four
Right.
of us knew. But to not have any of that, maybe a new scene would have been nice. Like,
Yeah.
something to show us what happened and why. And
It is really weird. Like, I don't want them to have to rehash everything that's already happened. Like, I'm okay with I think it's dumb what they did with Book of Boba Fett to jam it in there. You may as well just said, let's just do 10 episodes of Mando season 3 instead of 8, and just have those 2 at the beginning of this, if that's what you really wanted to do. It would have made a lot more sense in my opinion.
No.
But what was I gonna say? Oh, another thing that's really weird. Have you guys heard about the timeline of how long this show has taken place?
Well, it's been like almost a year
No.
since Grogu was with Luke.
Grogu was with Luke for 2 years.
2 years.
which
What?
there's some controversy.
So
like,
Jon
what-
Favreau said.
Yeah. So evidently, Jon Favreau said
I watched
he's
the
been-
video.
He's been with them for like 2 years, but some people are interpreting it as the episode in real life has been 2 years ago, and it's now 2 years later. But then he's not
4
touching
years?
at all.
No, I
What
just
actually-
I watched the video and he straight up says he trained with Luke for 2 years,
Yeah.
and Grogu was with Mando for several years before that ever happened. So like the mission of him looking for Jedi and stuff, it took more than what appeared to be a few weeks.
Which
Like-
that would be. I would rather have it that we got a week blip here or a month blip here and a month blip there than season 2 is over the course of a year and a half. That
Yeah.
just feels weird.
Yeah,
And
me
doesn't
too.
make
It feels
any
like we're
sense.
missing a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? So that was a really odd comment, but I mean the guy wrote the show, so clearly he knows what he's talking about. But yeah, Grogu trained with Luke for 2 years, so I imagine we're gonna see his Force powers are quite a bit heightened. I mean, he's already not falling asleep every time he uses the Force, so we know it's a little
So-
bit stronger.
That's kind of weird though, because we didn't see anybody else with Luke at all. So I'm like, you mean to tell me he's just been training?
Well, I mean, we only
Grogu.
saw him for a minute. He probably took his apprentices and younglings out one-on-one. He didn't spend them all in group sessions.
Yeah, I would hope so, because like otherwise we're like cutting into the timeline to where Luke's not gonna have enough time to actually train anybody.
Yeah, like Kylo Ren and all of the Jedi Temple that he had there.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it's all very odd. I would like to know a little bit more of the details and the lore behind some of this stuff. Hopefully, we'll get a comic book or a video game or something that kind of fills in these gaps of what's going on. But overall, I mean, this episode didn't give us a ton to talk about. I think the most interesting part was probably his conversation with Bo-Katan at the end, in my opinion. And that wasn't even that interesting.
Yeah, it was just her saying.
More recapping, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, but I was somewhat surprised that the Mandalorians had totally left her. I mean, it makes sense. Mandalorian
That's
culture,
true. Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
that was new information.
Yeah,
They all
Mandalorian
kinda ditched
culture
her.
would just follow power, which he talks about. And if she doesn't have that power, which she was, promising that she would, then it makes sense that they would leave her. So I was like, that sucks. Like, she has been trying to get Mandalore back up to their full strength pretty much her whole life, is what she's been fighting for. And for everyone to give up on her, that'd be pretty tough. But I think that
Yeah, they even
she's-
took her ships and everything and just dipped out.
Yeah, exactly. Like, she's pretty much stranded on this planet with a droid by herself.
Yeah.
So, but she had some harsh words for Din Djarin. She called him a fool several times, superstitious, saying you're an idiot, pretty much. Like the fact
Yeah.
that you believe all these things, which I don't know. How do you guys feel about the whole helmet thing? Like, Do you think because it's either gonna go one way or the other. All the Mandalorians are gonna get together for a purpose. They're gonna either all start wearing helmets or not, or just agree to like disagree, which I don't see happening. So, CJ,
Not a Mandalorian, yeah.
It's honestly, I think that's the thing that bothers me the most. I'm so baffled as to why he's like going back at all.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
like
know. He's
toxic
so,
X.
He's so far removed from it though, and apparently it's been years.
Mhm.
And like,
It's true.
I don't know. He made his choice. He also found out that they weren't even like the full force of like what Mandalorians were. They were just like a small part of it.
Yeah, and like to
I don't know.
go ahead.
I was gonna say it seems like season 2 was like removing him from them, and now they're like, oh, never mind. He's actually like right back in it.
Yeah, I was so excited to find out, like, okay, he's kind of waking up and realizing this Mandalorian cult is not like what Mandalore actually is. So hopefully now he wakes up and is able to embrace the other Mandalorians and start expanding on that and maybe take a leadership role. But now it's like, nah, we're going straight back to the old ways. And I don't know, it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it seemed like they were always pointing him back to Mandalore, though.
But definitely back to Mandalore, not necessarily back to the Death Watch / Children of the Watch.
Yeah, the Children of the Watch thing. Like, I don't know. I like the mysticism and the rules of Star Wars within the Jedi, you know, where they have like this code. And maybe it's just the perception of Mandalore that I've had for all the EU that I've read and the games that we've played and the shows that we've watched. But this just like isn't the Mandalorians that we've always known. So seeing this new like covert growing, and honestly, they seem to be the Mandalorians that are thriving, while all the other ones are scattered about the galaxy. So if there's going to be a Mandalorian culture, this is the group that's growing stronger and stronger.
Yeah,
that's what it's going to be.
That's true.
So I understand maybe like the possibility of when you are rebuilding a culture, it requires some structure and some rules. So maybe that's what they're going for, and that'll be the reason that they can stick together. Because otherwise, it is just every man for himself. So I don't know.
With what you were talking about earlier, I mean, there's got to be more than just this one quest into the season. It's just especially with teasing the Purgils in episode 1, I feel like that has to be foreshadowing of the rest of the season, not just.
Oh yeah.
Or at some point in the season, not just Ahsoka.
I don't think it's going to be the whole season. I do think it's going to be more of the season than I'd like to see. I mean, we saw in the trailer alone, Din is saying something like, as Mandalorians, what do we stand for? You know, who even are we? That kind of questions and stuff. So you know he's taking on some kind of leadership role to fight against something. And we also saw that Captain of the New Republic was saying to someone on Coruscant something like there's something out there, and if you ignore it, it's going to grow too strong. So there is something growing. Probably something having to do with Thrawn or the remnants of the Empire. So it's definitely
the Chiss bad guys.
The Grisk?
Yep.
It'd be interesting if there's the Grisk. I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
I would like to see that for sure. But it'll be interesting. Speaking of, I'm about like 2 chapters away from finishing the book. So I'll finish it this weekend at Drill, David, and we can talk about it next week.
I haven't actually finished that one.
You haven't read that one. CJ, you have though, right?
That was me.
Are you talking about the old ones or the new ones?
The new ones.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, very good.
The newest. Yeah.
Yeah, Lesser Evil is the one I'm reading right now.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Am I tripping, or were all the scenes from the trailer in this episode?
I believe they were. No, not all of them. There's
which ones?
The one of
Mandalore?
the captain talking about
Mandalore.
Yep. Anything that touched Mandalore. The 2 scenes I just talked about. The captain talking to that person on Coruscant. We saw some Coruscant scenes as well in some reels. And then, what was the third one? Oh, where he's talking to all the Mandalorians. And there's like all these Mandalorians assembling. So.
Oh, I thought that was the open scene.
Yeah, but Din says something like along the lines of, as Mandalorians, what do we stand for? You know what I mean?
Oh, I thought he said that to the what's her name?
Bo-Katan?
I need to rewatch the episode.
Yeah,
the armor.
I don't believe so. I was looking for all trailer stuff, but the
Okay.
vast majority of the trailer we have seen.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
All right. Ratings. Anyone else have anything else to add on this?
No.
Do you imagine we're just going into micro or memory chip?
Next episode's got to be
Yep.
way better.
Fast
And
forward.
it's got to be 50. It's got to be 50 minutes long.
Longer?
I
you
don't
mean?
think. Yeah, 50 minutes long runtime. There's no way that they're going for 35-minute episodes as the new.
And they've always been 30 minutes, or sometimes a little bit more. Like the finales have been
I
like
thought they're
45.
usually like. I thought they've usually been 40 minutes.
No, that's what we've complained about for
No?
2 seasons is these short episodes.
Am I just? Oh, am I thinking of Andor? Is that
Andor
what I'm
was
thinking
long.
of?
Andor
Yeah, you're
was
thinking of Andor. Andor was long.
Long and boring.
long and
Nah.
fan freaking tastic.
Swim. I can't swim.
Oh man, what do you mean? Are you making fun of that line? Because it was fantastic.
No, yeah. Yeah, upper 30s.
Yeah, I mean,
50,
we've had a couple of long ones, but for the most part, they've been
40.
pretty short.
30. Okay, yeah, that's fair.
So I hope they make it longer. I mean, just 8 episodes is just not a lot of time.
No.
Especially when one's 30 minutes of intro.
Yeah. So we've got 7 episodes left. I hope they
Oh.
make them count.
Speaking of the 30-minute episode that was kind of like just a passerby. This is how I feel every week when Bad Batch comes out. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, another Bad Batch episode's out. Ah man, I hope it's a little better.
It was a little. Before I move on to Bad Batch, I think we can talk about it a little bit. What did you guys think of the episode? Rating 1 to 10. I'm gonna give it a 7.2.
Agreed.
Yeah, 7-0. Because the visuals were great, the music was good. It was just the story was kind of okay. We know all this.
It was
stuff.
all over the place. Stuff we all knew. There's nothing like really revealed to us.
Also, we didn't talk about the pirate scene that much because that was a long scene where he had the shootout in front of the school.
Yeah, but it wasn't even cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like bang, 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 done.
It's
I was like,
yeah.
They talked for a lot though.
yeah, about drinks.
He wants a drink in the school.
It was so stupid.
It's a
No, he was tough.
Yeah. Well, and the guy's mouth didn't look right.
But I mean, I think it's the same product that they used for what's his face, for Cad Bane, where like it's not electronic or robotic. It just the
Right.
guy has to move his face a lot because Cad Bane was not electronic or robotic at all.
Yeah, it was all prosthetics.
That's the word.
I didn't hate the exchange. I mean, you kind of got to know Grief Karga a little bit more, and you know he's not just this soft magistrate guy. He still can get it done when he has to. But again, I don't care.
They've got no police though. Is basically what I gathered from.
Yeah, I really feel, you know,
Open
if
season.
they had this a girl who maybe was like an ex-ranger, you know, in the military, and she was able to step in. And be,
Nah, she's special
marshal.
forces. She
And then,
was
like,
marshal.
They can't find one person. I did like the idea that they're saying, no, we're not going to join the New Republic and be a part of another large regime again. Like, that makes sense that all the planets around the galaxy be, like, fed up. Like, no, I'm not trusting you just because you're not the Empire. You know,
Yeah.
the Republic wasn't the Empire either until they were.
The rebranded Empire.
Exactly.
And then they'll, eventually in maybe 30 years or so, they'll want to join this other group, like maybe an order or something,
Yeah.
the
Exactly.
first of its kind.
Yes.
or a 66.
CJ, did you have a rating for the episode?
I'm close to y'all. I'd be between a 6 and a 7.
Yep.
So
Okay. But yeah, overall, I'm sure we'll see those pirates again. Like, that's not going to be the only interaction we have with them.
Yeah, we need to know who Davy Jones is.
I don't
Davy
care.
Moss.
I mean, maybe there'll be some interesting stuff. that
Randy
happens out of
Moss.
it. There might be some interesting stuff that happens. But my guess
Hopefully.
is that we are going to have just, like, them
I
chasing him
smell
down
profit.
and an episode of him, like, running and fighting them. Like, that's probably going to be one of... So, I mean, we're already cut down to 6 episodes left, more than likely.
Yeah, like, all right, now we got to travel there.
And then
There's
Frog
there's
Lady.
a third.
And
Frog
then
Lady has to come back.
And then his ship is going to be all beat up from fighting the pirates. So episode...
Oh, and we saw the Razor Crest, so we obviously get to new one of those.
Wait, you
so
saw the
that's
race? What are you talking
What?
about?
in the trailer.
No, we didn't.
No.
No, we did.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
You're thinking of
so-
trailer for season 2.
So either it was a trailer for that, or maybe I saw it on Disney Plus, like when you first open it, and it just showed like the very beginning.
Sure, probably something like that. Probably like previously on, and like you saw the Razor Crest, and your brain just said, "Yeah, Razor Crest." Yeah. So we know that we're gonna get an episode of him fighting pirates, and then shortly after that, we're gonna get an episode of his ship being destroyed, and he has to fix it and get some money and stuff. So he's gonna go and do some bounty.
Then someone's gonna take Grogu.
Yep. Then he's gonna have to go get Grogu.
That might happen twice in one season, just for good
I'm-
measure, because Disney likes to.
I'm already thinking
that.
there's gonna be like 4 or 5 episodes that actually draw the main plot forward.
Finally, I'm not the one dogging on a Star Wars season. Finally,
Yeah.
I want
John-
more,
I'm Mr.
but I know I
Pessimist.
shouldn't.
Usually I'm Mr. Pessimist.
That's not true, Jake. I know I should. Just a little bit. Like one more episode,
It's just
please.
so frustrating. You know what I mean? Like, maybe there's shows that I really like to watch are like Peaky Blinders, The Last of Us. These shows that like really dive into the story and the characters, and every
Andor.
episode, Andor, exactly. But every episode has weight to it. You know what I mean? And I feel
Yep.
like with Bad Batch and Star Wars or Mando, I'm just getting sick of these episodes where I'm just like, you could have done without that and never watched it and been perfectly fine.
Andor.
Yeah, and like, I think that's what they struggle with is just being good storytellers, where they're not just telling us what's going on, like directly telling us, and they actually like unravel a plot,
And
something like that.
as much as I love Dave Filoni, I wonder if some of that comes from his background with Star Wars. Because you think about Clone Wars. I mean, as much as we loved it, there are a lot of episodes in that show. And you forget, like, if you watch through
There's a
that
lot of bad
whole
ones.
thing, I always go back and watch, like, my favorite episodes. Like, man, Clone Wars is great. But I only go back and watch my favorite ones. I don't go back and watch the ones that just were absolutely terrible. Because there were a lot of episodes that even had the main characters where there's, like, nothing going on, really. And you're just like, really? That was our episode this week? Like, if you watched it from a week-to-week basis, you'd be like, have to wait another week for something to maybe happen and just hope something happens. And same with Rebels, too. I mean, oh, man, Rebels. When it hit hard the last couple seasons, it was great. But there were some episodes in there where they're just going and looking for fruit the whole time, and they stumble around a couple stormtroopers. Like,
Story time. So a couple of years ago, I think it was like 2017. I was watching through 2016 maybe. I was watching through Star Wars Clone Wars all the way through for the first time. So maybe 2015. And I finished this awesome arc.
you didn't watch it live?
No, I watched
I didn't
one
either.
episode live.
What a
Dude, I didn't
couple of
either.
Plebs.
Blame my parents.
Your parents won't let you
Cart-
watch Clone Wars?
It was easier. Well, that's a different conversation.
No, that's not a lie.
How you snuck on
It was
to
easier to
watch
college.
cartoon. It was easier to sneak cartoon.
No, I was gonna say it was easier for them to say no than to just have to decide yes, you should watch watch
for
this.
some
No, you can't.
things.
Yeah, so just like no to it all. But anyway, so I was watching through Clone Wars, and my dad finally came in and was like, "Oh, what's this?" I was like, "Oh, this is a Clone Wars. It's a Star Wars TV show. It's really awesome." So then he was sitting there, and we watched one episode, and then he watched another episode, and it was the first and second episode of the 3-episode or 4-episode arc with the Ribbit Colonel and the Frog
Void.
Colonel
The Void.
and the 3 robots. And I
Yes.
was like, I'm so sorry, this is not a good representation.
the
of-
last episode of
These are
that
the
arc was
duds.
good.
The last episode was decent,
With
but
Gregor.
yeah. What's his name? Colonel.
Gregor. Oh, I
No.
don't remember. General something.
Oh, the
That was Steven Stanton voiced him, I think.
Jedi?
Yeah. No, the little Republic general that fit inside of R2D2.
Oh yeah, dude, I don't remember. Those are like duds. I don't.
The
But
Void.
that evidently that was
Like
George,
George
Lucas's
Lucas's
favorite,
favorite.
arc.
Yes.
Of course it was. He liked the droids for whatever reason.
Gascon, Meeber Gascon.
I think it's just because
Scott.
George is like a little weird, and
Yeah, a little.
George is just a little weird, and like he just didn't like people.
Yeah, I guess.
Robots are better.
Yeah, so hopefully we get some good stuff. Before we move on to Bad Batch, I want to talk about a question that one of our viewers asked. Isaac says, with Thrawn coming back and Mount Tantiss showcased in Bad Batch, do you think we're going to get an adaptation of the Timothy Thrawn books as movies? I think that would be cool, but I don't think so personally. If we do, it's be a long ways away. A lot of the news that's out with movies right now is sadly sequel trilogy related. If it is, it'll be about how the First Order was founded, and how Thrawn did that because he was a part of it. But I personally don't think we do. If we did, it'd be really cool.
So is the question referencing the original trilogy?
He just said Timothy
No,
Zahn
it's
and Thrawn
referencing-
books. So that'd be the new ones, correct?
The middle three.
Didn't Zahn do the last 3 as well?
So there's
He did all of them.
there's 3 trilogies. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Isaac, if
And
you're
there's
still
duology.
watching, let us know which of the 3 trilogies you're talking about. There was the one that was written back in like the early 2000s, 90s, that was originally about how he worked to build the Empire back, or try to continue on with the Empire remnant. There was the one a few years ago that was him moving into the Empire, establishing himself into the Empire. And there's the current or the most recent trilogy, and there's a book 4 coming out, correct? Or is this the last one, CJ?
I haven't heard that.
Okay, the most
That's the
recent
last one
trilogy
that I
that
know
takes
of.
place when he was still in the Chiss Ascendancy before he ever.
He
came
was
into the Empire.
referencing the 90s.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So the issue with the 90s
Okay.
books is his origin is completely different. And then not only that, but, well, the timeline doesn't work out. And
A lot of the characters are different. So he
yeah,
even
the
said,
characters, you get like Mara Jade in there. You get like all these
Mara
EU
Jade,
characters.
Jason Solo, Ben.
No,
Scott.
he's not in. They're not in that.
Oh, they're not.
Well, okay. I think
She's
they are as
pregnant with them.
toddlers.
Yeah,
I think they are as toddlers.
right.
Like
So they
maybe
got-
no. Wait, no. Are they? Because
Yeah,
like
Ben
Luke isn't even
Skywalker.
married to Mara.
I can't remember the Thrawn one specifically,
I don't.
but the
I don't
timeline
think
could all
they are.
change. It'd
Yeah.
be cool if they did decide
At least
to
take
go.
inspiration,
Yeah.
take
if they
influence.
if they did decide to go something with the sequel trilogy again, I would want it to probably be that time period before Rey,
Sequels. Yeah.
but I think it's going to end up being afterward.
Yeah, I want to see like Scarif and all. I want to. Well, and that's what I wonder. Like this Luke Skywalker, Leia, Han show that got announced or leaked.
Leaked.
Yeah,
Leaked.
it's not
Rumored.
announced.
Leak
Yeah.
rumor.
I'm like, I hope that'll go through Scarif if we don't get that anywhere else.
If that
'cause
does happen,
that's what I want to
want
see.
it. Do you want it to be CGI or a recast? I personally would rather have a recast.
Yeah, just recast. It's fine.
And we need Sebastian Stan as Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone knows.
He's too old now, dude.
Too old.
No, he's
And then
perfect.
Luke's
that
been
one-
told he was too old before, John.
No, but like the actor.
He's a-
And then that one dude is Harrison Ford. He played Harrison Ford, young Harrison Ford, in a movie about the
Solo
chick
movie?
that doesn't grow. No, not Aaron Aldrich. Let me find it.
I saw this one. I don't know if he was a YouTuber or what, but man, he could do a mean Harrison Ford Han Solo.
Anthony Ingruber.
Never heard of
He
it.
played him in The Age of Adeline.
Hmm.
And evidently he's in Indiana Jones that is coming out this year.
So he's the Harrison Ford
Young.
doppelganger.
He can
That's interesting.
he looks like him and he can mimic his mannerisms and his voice.
Hmm.
And if they just did a slight kind of like touch up deep fake, not even a full on deep fake.
I'd
We'll be
rather
all the
just
way
have
there.
a full recast, like, and just tell me that that's who these people are. The thing, I don't know. I don't think it would work, personally. I'd rather just see. If I got to pick, I'd rather us, get this Mando verse rolling with Ahsoka, Mando, Skeleton Crew, and Thrawn. Really build that up and just keep it on Disney Plus if you want, and maybe culminate it in a trilogy of movies. Awesome, be great. I'd love it.
Yeah, we need more. We need movies because that's
I
you
agree.
can't top that.
But if we're gonna start saying, all right, what's the direction of Star Wars going to be from here on out? Please put me thousands of years in the future or back into the Old Republic, or go to like the unknown regions or something, like where the Chiss are.
Bane,
Exactly. Like, I just think that
Revan.
Disney does not know how to handle the Skywalker saga very well, and I think we need to get away from it and start your own saga.
Well,
It's hard.
They want to do like, I was
Go
gonna say
ahead.
they want to do their own thing, but they can't do their own thing and like make it keep continuity with what's been done before, so it just comes out weird.
Yeah, they need to just say like, look, we're gonna go to the Old Republic, maybe use some of the same characters. The story won't be the same. It might be the same. Honestly, they should just literally pick up the book of Bane and just say, yeah, and throw it into a camera and just put.
There's
that on
been a
camera.
little bit
I
of
would be
buzz on
happy.
Twitter of people adding Drew Karpyshyn and him retweeting tweets, and it gets a couple hundred likes.
Yeah, I follow Drew.
Not enough
Karpyshyn, but
to
it's not
not enough to get
warrant
anywhere.
Disney.
He's up for it, and it would be amazing as long as Disney wouldn't get in the way. It would
It'll
be
never
great.
happen, man. Don't ever get your hopes up for Disney.
No, yeah, it would because it would have to be. I mean, it wouldn't have to be rated R, but it
No,
would have to be
PG-13.
bordering on PG-13
Yeah,
because it's got dark things. Not even just gore and such, but like very adult themes of like intense
Torture,
slavery. And, and
Star Wars has addressed some of those things before, though. They would just put their Star Wars family spin on it, like
slavery.
people get shot in the chest, but they don't bleed. So
Only the people with helmets on get their heads chopped off.
yes, exactly. Only the aliens actually die. So only the aliens are slaves. They've done that a lot. Yeah. Anyways, but let's talk about the actually good show that came out this week. Star Wars: The Bad Batch, Episode 11. In my opinion, John, you mentioned that it was possibly better. I was like, it was definitely better.
I just didn't. Yeah, it was better.
It was better. The story actually mattered, There was a lot of things that they drew in as well, connected some dots for us, like getting this Dr. Hemlock in, who's been working with the Emperor. It appears from before the time of the actual Empire, Back during the Republic, he was kind of aware of the Emperor's plans. And I always wondered, this was the thing that I loved, ever since the Clone Wars, when Palps took the Zillo Beast and said, keep it alive, or whatever it was, I take some of its DNA. I always was like, man, we never saw the Zillo Beast again in Clone Wars. I always expected that we would see it. Because he clearly had plans for it.
He did it was either a clone or a child.
I believe it was not a clone. It was a direct, egg or something that they took from
Yeah, because it obviously had to, which was kind of weird that it grew in one episode. I don't know. They explained it, but it just felt a
Apparently,
little weird.
the energy just makes it grow insanely fast. Which we did see the Zillo Beast grow in that original episode, did we not? I haven't seen those episodes in so long.
No, it was
already that big.
Remember, it was on
Malachor.
Malastair,
yes.
and the ground caved in, and
Yeah, that's right.
there was a
But
thingy.
But it was really cool to see. At first, I was kind of like, oh, really? Are they just going to have another side quest mission where they go get chased around by this monster? Omega goes and does something stupid.
Omega.
But, I mean, that's more or less what happened. But the other things that were connected were pretty cool. I mean, as soon as I saw the Republic Commando, I got excited because that's my favorite Star Wars game of all time.
Then he got zonked. So let me show you guys what spoiled. Oh, I can't screen share.
Have any of you read the Republic Commando books?
I saw it.
I can give you permission to screen share.
I got the show spoiled for me by Disney Plus. I don't know if any of you guys saw this.
Nope.
But literally, this is what I saw
That
on
sucks.
Wednesday, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's the Zilla Beast." And then in the episode, it was like an alien-looking.
Yeah, you're
literally
not supposed to know what it was.
The alien, creature
right,
that looks like the alien.
Right away, I said to Rachel, I said, Rachel, that's a Zillo Beast. She's like, the what? I was like, the Zillo Beast. How do you not remember? She's like, we watched Clone Wars 5 years ago. So I was like, ah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because I saw the picture and then I was like, that's a Zillo Beast. But then it was a different creature. And I'm like, okay, I hope it's not the Zillo Beast. Oh, okay, it's the Zillo Beast.
We're there.
Because it played like a horror film, a PG horror film, which was kind of cool, kind of fun.
So it is interesting that in the last 10-ish years, though, they've been studying this beast and they haven't been able to replicate its armor into anything yet, or at least that we've seen. Because that's what he's been trying to do, is get this armor that cannot be broken by lightsaber or blaster. It's pretty much Beskar.
Sounds cool.
Yeah.
But we haven't
Cortosis?
seen it.
Evidently, by the time Kenobi infiltrates the pyramid,
The
stronghold.
yeah, what about it?
Inquisitorious.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
stormtroopers have that armor because his lightsaber would bounce off their armor. Remember that?
Ah.
So stupid. Yeah, he was like, it was like he was whacking him with a baseball bat.
Yes,
So they
writing.
get that.
Yes.
It's like
yes,
the director
writing.
came in and said, what Vader said to Boba Fett, no decapitations. Instead of no
Okay.
disintegrations. Yeah, it was whatever. We don't need to dive into
Oldness.
old
Big-
shows that we are.
Bicker about old memories.
Yes.
Hmm.
Oh,
You guys-
and
you
then
got-
Scorch actually was mentioned in the
Credits.
credits at the end. Who
Yeah.
was the
Yeah.
character from the Republic Commando game?
He was the guy who died.
Scorch didn't die. No, Scorch
No,
is the
yeah,
one
I
that has
know.
the gray
I
and
was-
yellow. Yeah.
I was kidding.
Oh, okay.
But do you guys watch? Either of you guys watch? Any of you guys watch Psych?
Yeah.
You know Mary from Psych, the kind of creepy guy with the glasses.
I'm trying to remember what his character.
He was always obsessed with the yin yang people.
Oh yes.
He voices Dr. Hemlock.
Oh really?
Hmm.
Interesting. So
Fun fact.
when they weren't showing Dr. Hemlock's face, were any of you expecting to see Dr. Pershing? Because they were just like showing the back of him. You know what I meant? I mean, usually
I
when you're
wasn't,
concealing
no.
somebody, it's like you're hiding someone that people know who they are. You know, for like a reveal.
Wouldn't he
So-
be like a teenager right now though?
Oh, how many years would this be? Yeah, I suppose so.
Like 15 years
it's
later?
15 years later. If Dr. Pershing's like 45, he could have been like 30 at the time.
I always thought he was like 35.
I don't know. People age differently in this universe too. Take long journeys around the sun. There's a lot of time when you're not around the sun. But like Munes live to be pretty old, right? Several hundred years.
Multiple hundred.
But I do like that it appears Bad Batch and Mando are kind of starting to mix themes a little bit.
Are they?
Oh yeah, with the cloning and what the Emperor's like ulterior motives are. I mean, I think
No.
it's all eventually pointing towards the sequel
Yeah.
trilogy.
I mean,
which
that's kind of
sucks,
always a theme.
But those are some of the running
Cloning.
themes that they're putting together: the cloning and the way the Emperor wants to use cloning. I mean, Grogu is all about the cloning. The whole reason they're chasing after him. So
And it was cool a couple times in like EU when they did it. And that's part of the issue why they can't do the Thrawn trilogy how they did it in the books is because number one, the main antagonist of that book isn't Thrawn really. Well, at least for the most part.
it's a clone
Thrawn's
of Luke
like
Skywalker,
the
right?
military leader. But no, the main villain is a clone of a Jedi Master
Yeah.
who went on outbound flight like his other book, like got lost in space and Palpatine clones the dude somehow. And then he's like a dark Jedi. And he clones Luke Skywalker off his old hand.
Like, oh, look what I found.
Yeah. And
This ought to be handy.
guess what he calls the clone of Luke?
I remember what it was.
Luke with
Yeah,
two
with
U's.
Yeah.
two U's, yes.
He
Luke.
adds a U.
Can
and he
you
says,
imagine
yes.
reading that book on audiobook and how annoying it would get?
Luke.
I'd be like, dude, I can't listen to this anymore.
Luke dodged Luke's lightsaber swipe,
like-
and then Luke took a blow at Luke. But
I'm like, the
Luke
only thing that
took-
makes this better is if we get like Padme from the Zon
Oh
audiobook
no.
in there, and then we're like,
Oh, Eddie.
I'm like, no, this is Jeff.
No, this is Patrick.
Yeah. Overall, I thought I was pretty interested by it. So, do you think that the next episode is going to be them sending some commandos to hunt down commandos and Crosshair, maybe to hunt down Omega?
Would make sense because they said, well, they've got eyes on whoever this random ship was that was flying
Right.
around,
Yeah.
and then they've also got eyes on Omega.
my guess
So
is
they
Sid
don't
is
know
gonna
that
turn
they're
them
the
in.
same. Yeah, probably.
Right.
You need some kind of plot line.
Well, what's going to happen is they're going to be like, "Hey, we did this for you, and again, it went really poorly for us. You know, we need to cut
We're
ties."
leaving you.
And they leave her, and they're like, "Well, I find this adventure no longer profitable," and she turns them in for some monies. That's my guess.
Maybe so.
Yep.
You see it?
Seems legit. I'll buy it for $1.
Well, I've got nothing further to add. I will have some Madame Jacasta's book club to share with you guys the next time we meet next week. I will have the newest Thrawn trilogy completed, and I think that all four of us should try to start reading the High Republic, because David, I know, has been reading it, and I think it'd be good to talk about. So if you can find some time while you're working to pop an earbud in and listen to a book.
Fortunately not.
Why not? Aren't you an accountant?
I have to say focus.
Okay, when you're
Plus,
driving, listen to a book.
I need to listen to the Bible while I'm driving.
John, if you listen to the Bible while you're driving, I will let it slide. If you are not, and you are lying about reading the Bible, and you
No, I said I need to.
You need to listen to Star Wars as well.
So he's
You
not
need to
even gonna do it.
prioritize. Here's what you're gonna do, John. You're
do
gonna wake up in
sometimes.
the morning.
Feeling like P. Diddy.
Wake up in the morning. Yep. And you're gonna pop in a book while you're brushing your teeth and getting ready to go to work. You get in the car. You listen to your Bible on the way to car. You're in the car while you're going to work or whatever. Don't you work from home?
No.
Okay. While you're driving to work, you listen to your Bible. You work. Yada yada yada. You do your great day. You hop back in the car. You listen to Star Wars on the way home. Get through
For
about
10 minutes. 10 minutes a
Get through
day.
about a chapter a day. In about 30 days, you'll finish the book.
But it's... Yeah, I don't know.
Boom. Problem
That's
solved.
not bad.
Problem solved.
Or I can
All
just
right.
have you guys summarize it for me. I like that.
They're good books, man.
All right. Well, this has been the Rogue Podcast. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you could, please be sure to hit a like. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already.
Tell
Hit
us
the
about your
bell.
friends.
Tell us about your friends, you know.
Or tell your friends
That's
about
what
us.
I'd say. No,
You could do
tell us
that
about
too.
No.
No, actually, I want to know about your friends. Address, birthday, SSN.
Credit card.
I probably should do this at the
If they have
beginning of
good
the
credit
video
score.
before everybody leaves. Because I doubt a lot of people
What's our
hang
retention
around.
rate?
Currently, we have had 10 views today.
Nice.
But like the retention rate of, the
Average
curve of
view
when people
duration,
leave.
9 minutes and 27 seconds.
Woo.
Okay.
I'm one of
We
those.
do have
I'm driving that average.
We do
way
have
up.
a few people currently watching, which is good.
I'm one of
Nice.
them.
But the highest we had today was 4.
Okay.
Nice.
Not bad.
So, it's what it is. All right, guys. Thanks so
We
much.
do it for the love, not for the money.
That's very true. Money ain't got nothing to do with this. We'll catch you next week. May the force be with you.
Always.